You did everything right. You watered consistently, amended your soil, even checked the forecast before you planted. And then one morning you walked out to find your tomatoes riddled with holes, your beans stripped bare, and something had gone through your kale like it wasn't even there. Here's the part nobody tells you. The problem wasn't what you did to your plants. It was what you didn't plant beside them. There are specific plants that, when placed in the right spots in your garden, essentially run their own pest control. No sprays, no intervention, no damage. And a few of them work in ways that will genuinely surprise you. By the time this is done, you'll know exactly which 10 companion plants naturally protect your garden from pests, where to put them, and why the most powerful one on this list is probably the last thing you'd expect. Before we get to the plants themselves, you need to know what's actually happening in your garden, because most pest problems aren't random. They follow patterns. Pest insects find your crops primarily through scent. Aphids, whiteflies, cabbage moths, they're not wandering aimlessly. They're following chemical signals that your plants release, particularly when stressed. A lone tomato plant in a bare bed is basically broadcasting its location. Add the right neighbors, and you disrupt that signal entirely. This is called olfactory masking, and it's the foundation of what companion planting actually does. Some plants emit volatile compounds that confuse or repel pests outright. Others attract the predators that eat those pests. A few do both at once. The mistake most gardeners make here is treating companion planting like decoration. Planting one basil in a pot near their tomatoes and calling it done. That's not how it works. Effective companion planting is about density, proximity, and pairing the right species to the right threats. You'll know it's working when you start noticing fewer pest insects on your main crops, and more beneficial insects like hoverflies, parasitic wasps, and ladybirds moving through the garden. Those are your visual confirmation that the system is functioning. Here's something most people don't realize. Marigolds don't just repel pests above ground. French marigolds release a compound from their roots called alpha-terthionyl. In the soil, this compound is toxic to root knot nematodes, the microscopic worms that destroy root systems on tomatoes, peppers, and carrots without you ever seeing them until it's too late. A border of French marigolds planted 30 to 45 centimeters, that's about 12 to 18 inches, from your crop row isn't decorative. It's an underground barrier. Now this next part is where it gets interesting. Nasturtiums work through a completely different mechanism. They're what's called a trap crop. Aphids, particularly black bean aphids, are irresistibly drawn to nasturtiums over almost any other plant. You plant them at the perimeter of your beds. The aphids cluster there instead of on your beans or brassicas, and then the predatory insects, ladybirds, lacewings, follow the aphid colonies and do the cleanup. You're essentially building a buffet that keeps the predators fed and stationed in your garden all season. Lavender is highly effective at repelling moths, including the cabbage white butterfly, as well as fleas and aphids. Its essential oils, primarily linalool and linyl acetate, are deterrents for a wide range of soft-bodied insects. Plant it at the corners of brassica beds or as a perimeter hedge. It also attracts bumblebees heavily, which improves pollination across the entire garden. Catnip contains nepetalactin, a compound that research from Rutgers University found to be roughly 10 times more effective at repelling mosquitoes than DEET, and it has a similar deterrent effect on aphids, Japanese beetles, and squash bugs. One important note: if you have cats nearby, plant it in wire cages or it'll be demolished before it does anything. The mistake at this step is spacing these too far out. Repeller plants work best within 60 centimeters, about 2 feet, of the crop you're protecting. Any farther and the volatile compounds dissipate before they do the job. Here's something that most people don't realize, and it flips the way you think about insects in your garden entirely. You've probably been trained to remove plants that attract insects. But here's what that logic gets completely wrong. The insects that destroy your garden are almost always present in small numbers at first, and they have natural enemies that will handle them, if those enemies can find your garden. Parasitic wasps are one of the most powerful pest control forces in any ecosystem. They lay eggs inside or on pest caterpillars, aphids, and whitefly larvae, and the hatching young consume the pest from the inside out. They cause no harm to humans or crops, but they need nectar to survive as adults, and they're picky. They're most strongly attracted to plants in the Apiaceae family, flat-topped flowers with shallow, accessible nectar. Dill and fennel are the two most effective attractors of parasitic wasps and hoverflies in temperate gardens. Let them flower. That's when they're doing the work. One caution: keep fennel at least 60 to 90 centimeters, 2 to 3 feet, from tomatoes and peppers, as it can stunt their growth through allelopathy. Phacelia is less known but arguably the most powerful insectary plant for small gardens. Its blue flowers produce nectar continuously over 8 to 10 weeks and attract hoverflies, lacewings, and parasitic wasps in numbers that will visibly transform your garden's biodiversity within a season. It's particularly effective in cooler climates: Northern Europe, the Pacific Northwest, Southern Australia, highland regions. Sweet alyssum serves a similar role at a smaller scale. Direct sow it between crop rows, it germinates in 5 to 7 days, flowers within 6 to 8 weeks, and the low mat of white blooms attracts hoverflies whose larvae are voracious aphid predators. Here's where most people lose their results without ever realizing it. They focus entirely on what a companion plant smells like or attracts, and completely ignore what it does to the physical environment around their crops. Garlic is the clearest example. The sulfur compounds it releases above and below ground repel aphids, spider mites, Japanese beetles, and some fungal pathogens. It's been used intercropped with roses for decades for this exact reason. Plant it 10 to 15 centimeters, 4 to 6 inches, from susceptible crops. Don't plant it near legumes. Beans and peas are inhibited by the same compounds that repel pests. Borage does something unusual. It repels tomato hornworm and cabbage worms, attracts pollinating bees, and, this part is supported by several field studies, improves the flavor of tomatoes when planted adjacent to them, likely through changes in soil mineral uptake. It self-seeds freely in most climates, so plant it once and it tends to return. Rosemary is dense, aromatic, and acts as a physical and olfactory barrier against cabbage moths, bean beetles, and carrot flies. Its woody structure also provides habitat for predatory beetles that overwinter in the garden. In climates with frost, grow it in containers you can move in for winter. Tansy is highly effective against ants, which matter more than most gardeners realize, because ants actively farm aphids, moving them onto new plants and protecting them from predators. Tansy disrupts this. However, it spreads aggressively in warm, moist conditions, so contain the roots or grow it in a pot sunk into the ground. Once you've done that, identified your main crops, understood their primary threats, and selected companions from each category, the next thing to focus on is how you arrange them. The most effective companion planting layouts use a 3-ring approach. Your main crop sits in the center. The repellers go at the immediate edge, within 30 to 60 centimeters, or 1 to 2 feet. The predator attractors go slightly farther out, or in adjacent rows, where they can flower freely without competing for root space. Structural defenders like garlic and rosemary go at the bed corners and perimeters. This way, your garden isn't a collection of random plants. It's a layered system where every element is either masking scent, attracting allies, or physically blocking access. The visual confirmation that this is working looks like this. Fewer chewed leaves on your main crops, visible populations of ladybirds and hoverflies, and, most tellingly, when pest pressure does arrive, it stays contained rather than spreading across the whole bed. To bring it all together, the reason 10 companion plants can naturally protect your garden from pests comes down to 3 things: disrupting how pests find your crops, recruiting natural predators to manage them, and changing the physical environment so pests never get comfortable. French marigolds underground, nasturtiums as a trap crop at the perimeter, and Phacelia or dill to bring in the wasps. If you apply just those 3, you're already ahead of most growers. If you want to go deeper, the next step is understanding how soil health affects pest resistance from the inside out. If this was useful, subscribing means you won't miss what we put out next. We keep it practical, we keep it honest, and there's a lot more coming.